Hello YouTube, Totalhenry here. Welcome to another episode of what I'm reading and watching. This is the 19th episode, and I think it's going to be a pretty good one. First off, I want to apologize for not having the episode last week. I had a lot of work to do. I'm almost done with it, and I didn't want to skip 2 weeks in a row. Besides, I knew today or this week was going to be a good one, so let's just start. This is the weekly show where I talk about the manga and anime that I've been reading over the past week. In the description below will be the table of contents, and it will show what I'm going to talk about and when in the video I'm going to be talking about them, so you can just choose what you want to hear. So I basically have like the chapters laid out for you. Now, starting off like usual is Toriko, chapter 321. Now, the very first thing I want to say is there is a new creature in here. It's like one of those camper vehicles, but it looks like a crab. And it reminds me of the crab in One Piece during the Barbecue Works arc when they were going from the desert. I forget what town they were in, but they had to go from the desert, Luffy and his friends, all the way to the city to stop the riot, and they were on the crab that was sort of going like that and just running across the ground. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know if this is a reference to One Piece of the crab that the author of Toriko is doing, but that's what it reminds me of. Now on to the actual chapter. Okay, it's done. This was a weird chapter. There was some interesting development with Komatsu that I guess was kind of cool, but there was just so much weirdness, and especially at the very end that I don't know. I think this manga's gotten a little too weird for me. I don't know. I'm not liking it as much. Hopefully the next arc will be better, but just some of the things in this arc have been way too weird for me. Next up is Bleach 624. And as I was reading this chapter, I was thinking, oh, this is probably an okay chapter. But the ending is great. The ending turns this from an okay chapter to a great chapter. And there was also some good humor in here by Kong, the little lion bear type soul thing that's in like the little stuffed animal. I don't know how many chapters it's been since he's been around, but I'm glad he's back. He is really, really funny. And then that and the ending, my favorite character has appeared again, and I was hoping he would because it was never specified that he died. And I'm so happy that he's back. And if he and Ichigo team up, if they can somehow put aside their differences, I don't know how the hell that's going to happen, but it could be awesome. So, my favorite character is back. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him, and I'm just so glad that he's back. Anything else I wanted to talk about? Okay, that's it. Next up is One Piece, chapter 784. There was a great color spread here, one of Oda's classic, very brightly colored, happy, carefree, and it just makes you feel good. If you look at the color spread, Frankie, he's way in the back, and it's kind of funny what he's doing. But onto the chapter itself, this was a really great chapter, and I'm just going to say, because I think a lot of you probably already know, but this chapter, Luffy shows off Gear 4. That's right, 4. Count them. Count them. Count them. And he is so powerful, and it reminds me a lot of in Thriller Bark when he absorbed all the ghosts and became big and blue, and he had a lot of black lines under his eyes. That's what it looked like. And it was just really, really cool. It looked, at first I wasn't sure, but I think I might like it. The only thing is I wonder if there's a drawback to this power, like Gear 3 shrinks him. Gear 2, I don't think he can do all the time. I don't know, I could be wrong about that. I know Gear 3 makes him smaller, but is Gear 4 going to have a drawback? Because right now, Doflamingo can't do anything against him, so it should have a drawback of some sort. Otherwise, it just is overpowered and I don't know. That seems like a cheap way to go, but I think Oda will make some sort of drawback or condition as to when he can use it. Next up is Nisekoi, chapter 168. This is what I would call a typical Nisekoi chapter. And as Raku even says at the end of this chapter, back to square one. They thought they had information about who the girl was with the pendant and the key, but no, like National Komi's like, here's some information, then just pulls it away, and information turns out to be nothing. Someone confess already. I mean, like, someone kiss, someone confess. I mean, this has gone on for so long. The comedy's gotten old. The second season, the anime just started. This thing is popular. I don't know how it's doing in Shonen Jump in Japan. Well, it must be doing well if the anime's started. But it's just so frustrating. I mean, I will keep reading it. I've invested so much time, 168 chapters, but something should happen. And also, Raku said in this chapter that his feelings towards Onodera aren't going to change, even if the girl is that he promised 10 years ago is different. Okay, so if you still like Onodera that much, why does it matter? Why does it matter who the girl is? Your pendant, you can't fix it. Just break it, see what's inside, because you know I'm going to be with Onodera. And if Onodera happens to be the girl, that's all the better. If it's like Chitoge and Marika or the other one, or God knows how many other girls there are, just say, I'm sorry, I'm with Onodera. It's not the ending that people want, but like you just have to wonder, why can't you do that? Why can't they confess or something? A lot of people have asked these questions. No one's gotten an answer. Next up is Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 116. This was a very good chapter, and it was sort of a, I don't know what you would call it, like a training montage or a highlight of the other students during this internship arc, and just like various moments where a lot of the kids like are failing and they're talking about just how hard it is for them to succeed. So that was pretty cool, and it felt like a montage thing that you would see. So I think when that scene is animated, it'll be really cool. So Soma is now seen finally as like a really legitimate contender. Like everyone wants to take him on, and everyone is taking him on. And I can't wait for the next chapter. And I think he's gonna beat all these people that just challenged him. So great chapter. A little bit of a time skip towards the end, and I think a new arc is starting. I think it mentioned it at the end of the chapter, but I didn't quite catch it. So let's see where Shokugeki no Soma goes from here. Next up is My Hero Academia, chapter 40. This is another great chapter. It was the climax to the battle, and it was just a great way to end a great fight. Midoriya, now, like, what is going to happen to his power? Like, because every single time he uses it, he hurts himself, and like he just has to be able to master. And I don't know when he's going to be able to do that. Maybe there'll be a time skip or something, and he'll do training. Maybe All Might will train him, but All Might can't really do anything anymore. So I'm not sure where it's going to go from here. And it was a sad ending with lots of emotion that was really touching. So that was a great way to end the fight, and then end the chapter with this sort of like sad moment with all these feelings. It was quite good. Next up is Haikyuu, chapter 155. This was a good chapter, and the first set in the match of the final is over. And let me get this right. Shiratozawa, whatever, the other team, not Karasun. The other team won the first set 25-16. I tried my best with that name, I'm sorry. Now the second set has started. Karasuno, the main character's team, they are doing better. It looks like they might, well, they have to win this set. Otherwise, they lose. But you know what I mean. They're doing better now. They haven't stopped the ace of the other team. I forget his name, but they're all working hard, and it's just sort of a typical Haikyuu match. Not much to say. I want what's his name, Hinata. He's not had a lot of time to shine, so I'm kind of hoping he is able to do something. Next up is Black Clover Chapter 11. I love this series. Every chapter is good. Every chapter is great, and those new sort of areas, new things are happening in this chapter. Just new parts of the world, so the world feels like it's getting bigger, and it's starting to go away from Naruto. It feels different. It's taking different roads, and like it doesn't feel like a carbon copy of Naruto anymore to me. And I still love the art, the details of the sort of dungeon that they're in are really cool. There's some cool little action and humor in this chapter. There's a new wacky character and an old character reappears. Everything is great about Black Clover. And I think a longer story arc might be happening. At least that is what I'm hoping for. I like longer story arcs. But anyway, Black Clover is probably one of my new favorite manga series. Now, the big thing in this episode is Naruto Part 3. And I'm going to add that to my weekly series list because I don't know how long it's going to go on, but I'm adding it because it's Naruto and it's back. This Masashi Kishimoto, he's back. Let's start talking about. So Naruto, the 7th Hokage, and the Scarlet Spring. This is chapter 700 plus 1, as it said on the bottom of the chapter. Now, I was a huge fan of Naruto, first manga I ever read, so I'm a little bit biased when I think about how good it is. And I think it's probably much better than maybe it actually is, but it's still a great manga. So I was really nervous when I heard that there was going to be a sequel or a part 3, just because it was so good that you should just sort of, I think, stop at the high point. You could argue that Naruto had decreased and it wasn't the high point anymore, but just continuing it, you have to live up to what it was. And based on the first chapter, I think it will. This is going back to the earlier stuff with the Ninja Academy and all the school kids, and Naruto, his son, Boruto, he is acting just like Naruto is. He's painting graffiti on the faces of the Hokages. Shikamaru's son is in this. He acts exactly like Shikamaru. So there's a lot of things that are just sort of you can reminisce about the old series. A lot of old characters appear. And it was just a great chapter. Naruto is having a hard time being a father because Boruto, he's acting exactly like Naruto did. But like I don't want to say he's not having a hard time being a father. Naruto's just having a hard time dealing with it. But most of the chapter focuses on Sasuke's daughter, Sarada. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And Sasuke doesn't seem to be a good father, and Sakura doesn't seem to be the best mother. Because Sasuke's nowhere to be found, and Sakura is not sure about Sasuke. Like, the daughter asks her questions about Sasuke, and she doesn't even know it. So there's a lot of friction going on there, and the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is great. I love the ending, and I think this new series has a lot of potential. And one thing that I hope that it comes out in the print volumes, because I'm going to collect the rest of Naruto, and I want to have these volumes. I don't think it's going to be more than a few volumes. I think that's a stretch. This might be as long as Akira Toriyama's Jacko. This might be one of those series, just like a little volume thing to wrap up any loose ends from the other series. And I'm also wondering what the Scarlet Springs mean. I think the series is going to have to do with finding Sasuke because he's nowhere to be seen. Sakura says he's on a mission. I doubt that. I think he still has a chip on his shoulder. I think he's looking for. I don't know what he's doing, but I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna end this wonderful episode of what I'm reading and watching. Join me next week as I talk about a very good anime. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You have to wait till next week.